Did you know that there are millions of dogs left at shelters across the country each year, but each year there are also hundreds of thousands of people rescuing those dogs, and we're here to tell you about some of those incredible rescue stories.
Each week, we highlight 3 of those stories. Our favorite story will then be rewarded by a donation given to their favorite animal rescue organization. It's America's Best Tales, and it starts now.
Hi everyone, welcome to America's Best Tales. I'm Arthur E. Benjamin, and this is Bandit E. Benjamin, and I'm here with Farrah White.
We have 3 more stories to tell you today. 2 involve rescuing a dog, and the other is about saving a dog. We'll explain more in a minute.
Speaking about saving a dog or helping a family pet through a tough time, the Humane Society of the United States and American Dog Rescue are hosting a very special event in New York City. It's called To the Rescue, and it's a gala at Cipriani's restaurant on December 18th. Every dollar that's donated to American Dog Rescue between now and December 17th will be matched that night. I personally promise I will get on stage and get your dollar matched with another. So anything you donate at AmericanDogRescue.org between now and December 17th is worth $2 to the dogs.
That's awesome. That's really nice, and that's going to be an amazing event. Well, should we start today's show?
I don't see why not.
Let's remind everyone how this works. We'll hear 3 stories of animal rescue, and then we decide on a first, second, and third place winner. Each contestant wins money toward their favorite animal rescue organization.
Our first contestant is Beltray. Beltray is a chocolate lab found in downtown Fort Worth last July. He was thin, dehydrated, and injured when he was found. Beltray's story of recovery was a long road, but he's now with his forever home, and he's doing great, as you can see. Ginger Leach with the Fort Worth Animal Control and Robin Hamilton with DFW Lab Rescue, one of my favorites, shouldn't tell anybody that, is here to introduce us to Mr. Beltray.
Hi, Ginger.
Hello.
So, take us back to the day that Beltray was found.
I went walking through the shelter and saw him laying there and immediately stopped and said, oh my goodness. I took a picture and sent it to Robin and Amelia with DFW Lab and said, look at this poor, pitiful baby. And that's where the rescue started.
He doesn't look very pitiful today.
He was hit by a car, and when I took him out to walk, he was having trouble going to the bathroom, and he walked like an old man. But now we know it was because he was injured. He had been hit by a car, and we didn't realize that.
How big was he when you found him?
About 40 pounds.
Yeah, he was very thin.
So he's about 80 now?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, doubled his size.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what do you do when dogs come into the rescue organization injured or needing help?
Well, we contact the rescues. Like if it's a purebred lab, I'm going to call DFW Lab. There's several groups out there that do mixed breeds. I've been doing this for 10 years, so I pretty much know who to call.
I heard he was depressed too.
Yeah, he was pretty sad and pitiful.
So how do you get a dog out of that depression?
You get him into rescue and let them work on his injuries and get out of the shelter.
So how'd you get Beltray out of the...
I'm going to mess up my makeup.
That's okay.
He was at the shelter, and I was at work when I got her picture, and I thought, oh my God, I got to hurry up and get out of work because I'm a nurse during the day and a dog rescuer the rest of the time. So I went there and immediately took him out to the little play yard, and he couldn't go to the bathroom, and he would just walk around, like she said, like an old man. It was painful. He was so skinny and just heartbreaking. And I wanted to take him that day, but I couldn't because he's got a stray hold that shelters have to hold the dog for certain days. And I thought, well, whoever owned him shouldn't have him back anyway. So I tried to take him that day, and I couldn't, so I had to come back when the stray hole was up, which was, I think, 2 more days.
Yeah.
And when I came back to get him, he was barely breathing. And he was in just horrible, horrible, he had gotten worse because his abdomen was huge, swollen, and he couldn't go to the bathroom, he could barely breathe, he was just struggling with every breath. And I pretty much had to carry him to my car, and I called my friend Amelia, and she met me, because she's a nurse anesthetist, and we met, and quickly rushed him to the vet as quickly as we could, and they put him on oxygen and did all the medical emergency stuff for him, and then they took him to emergency surgery, and they opened his abdomen, and they got 2 liters of urine out of his abdominal cavity. And he had had a torn bladder, and it had been torn since he came in, which was at least 3 to 4 days. So the area was necrotic where the tear was, and urine was just pouring in and filling up, and he couldn't breathe. So they did do the surgery. He was cut all the way down his abdomen, and they had to clean all that out. So his bladder together, and they weren't sure if it was going to hold because there was so much necrotic around the tear. And it was funny because that night I went to the Rangers game because we had bought tickets, and Beltray kept striking out, and I just would cry at the game because I kept thinking about Beltray. And then the next day the vet called me at work and found out that he had survived the night, and she'd actually before that said that she thinks that we need to make a decision on him. And so I called my hospice people that we work with, and they were planning on picking up his body. And but he pulled through. It's an incredible, he's a walking miracle.
Mr. Miracle. Hey, Mr. Miracle. Hi.
Well, and what a good-looking dog.
He was a diamond in the rough.
You would never know.
Oh, there is your buddy. So anyway, it's taken months and months to get him rehabilitated. We found out he not only did he have a ruptured bladder, but he had multiple fractures in his pelvis. So that took daily work with him. I'd put him in our swimming pool. He couldn't swim because he had absolutely no strength back here. It was just, there was nothing, and he had a big hump here where his spine just stuck out. So I put a life vest on him, and I would swim him with the handle for 30 minutes at a time, and then when he was tired, I'd put him on the float.
People like you are amazing.
Because you really did save him.
I'm very passionate about it.
This is a beautiful, healthy dog now.
I, particularly being a nurse and caring for people all day, I just have this part of me that I want to do what I can to save the sickest ones that I can. And as soon as I got him, of course, I know you've met Sherry Levin. She's the director of incoming. She's the one that says, yes, we can take a dog, or no, we can't take him. And at first she was like, I don't think we can take him. He's really too sick. And I said, well, I told Ginger I'm taking him anyway.
Right.
And I was just going to figure out how to pay for him later. And so she did say, yes, we could take him. And she felt bad for him. And so we saved him.
And here he is.
And here he is.
Well,
he made it.
We should remind everybody that Beltray's here. And he's playing on behalf of DFW Lab Rescue.
Yes.
And if you want to find out about them, you go to
their website at dfwlabrescue.org.
When we come back, how the Dog Scouts of America here in North Texas are helping dogs caught in a fire will be covered. So stay with us. And stay with Bandit.
Welcome back to America's Best Tales. Our next contestant is a product that is actually rescuing dog after dog, and I hear a few cats too. The animal oxygen mask is helping fire departments in North Texas save dogs' lives.
Wait a minute. This show is about dogs and people. Well, how did we get it about a product?
Because apparently this product is truly saving dogs' lives. So we wanted to have him on the show and make sure that everyone out there knew about this product.
Well, I think that's important, and it's a really it's a contribution to dogs.
Absolutely.
So it fits. Martin Ratliff is with the Dog Scouts of America, Troop 119, and Battalion Chief David Stapp of the Arlington Fire Department are here with the details of this amazing, amazing dog-saving device. Mark, can you give us a history of the animal oxygen mask and how it works?
Yeah, the program started here in the North Texas area. We had heard about a rescue that one of the local fire departments had done, and one of the items that we noticed about it was they were using human oxygen masks to try to get the dog that had suffered smoke inhalation some oxygen that they needed. And of course, you know, the human masks are kind of flat and don't fit over the dog's noses as well. And so we began as a troop investigating to see if there were animal type masks that could be used. And we found an organization that provides these. And so what we did is we started contacting the local fire departments and asking them if this was something that they would be interested in, and we started doing fundraisers to get donations of the mask and then donate them to our local fire departments. And Arlington was one of the first cities that we donated to, and I think we've donated to about 30 area fire departments in the North Texas area, including
So you donate to them different size masks?
We actually donate them in sets, which come in all 3 sizes. And then based on their needs, we give them the number of sets of kits that they need to cover their vehicles or their fire stations or however they decide to lay it out.
And how do you raise the money for this?
We do different fundraisers. Sometimes we do walks. Sometimes we do different types of fundraisers that nonprofits do. One of the big things that Dog Scouts does to raise funds is our dogs paint.
Right, we've had them on the show.
Yeah, and then they'll put those into an auction to generate funds, and then those funds that they get from those donations, then we use to do things like this. So.
And how do these work?
That's why I brought David. He's the expert on how they actually work.
Well, then you're going to have to show us how they work, and you're going to have to tell us why it's so groundbreakingly important to have these in your job.
Absolutely. Well, we were approached, I think, in about 2006 and asked if we'd be interested in these masks. And like he had mentioned in the past, we would use human oxygen masks. They work, but they're not near as effective. So when we were asked if we would be interested in this donation, obviously we were. And I believe we initially got 10 sets. And we don't track their use, but over the years, untold number of dogs and cats that have been pulled from fires. And they're simple to use. They have a piece of oxygen tubing, which is stored inside this one that just hooks on the end. There's 3 sizes. You just look at your patient, how big they are, how big their snout is, choose the appropriate mask, hook it to the oxygen source, and put it in, and of course, it totally goes around their snout. So
which size is Bandit?
I would think Bandit's probably the smaller size, and maybe this size.
Let's take the medium one,
okay,
just so that I don't squish them, and let's just demonstrate it. Are you ready, Bandit? You're going to get oxygen. Here we go. Just like that, right?
Yes, sir.
And he'd be breathing oxygen through there, and he can breathe in and out because of the size.
Yes, sir.
Look at him. He actually likes it, I think. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I bet they're happy to have it on once they realize that they're getting fresh air again. Because that has to be a crazy experience, and I'm sure the animals, you probably see them in different states. I'm sure some are more lucid than others, depending on when you're getting to them.
Now, this is a nonprofit.
Yes, sir.
So, do you have any large organizations using this at this point?
I mean, we've donated to, like I said, fire departments, Texas Task Force 1, which is a search and rescue group here in Texas. And so it's really, believe it or not, the smaller organizations that really benefit, because just as an example, when we went to the city of Dallas about donating masks to them, their fire chief was so impressed, he actually went to the city council and got them to purchase the masks for the fire department.
From you?
No, just actually to purchase them. Because these can be purchased.
From?
There's an organization called HELP, which I don't know off the top of my head, and I should be ashamed of myself, what that stands for, but they actually get these masks for use for animal purposes. And of course, like David mentioned, vets do use these in their surgical procedures as well for anesthesia, that type of stuff.
Interesting.
Well, but timing is everything, and I'm guessing having those with you and the right sizes on the back of a fire truck, you know.
Well, it's even more important for the pets than it is, when people suffer from smoke inhalation, because the pets suffer from damage much quicker than people do.
Sure.
So it's even more important for them.
Yeah, and that made a complete seal around Bandit's snout, and he wouldn't have been able to breathe anything other than that. That's great.
Yeah, that sounds like an amazing organization, and really glad that we had both of you guys here today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Chief, thanks for being here. It really is nice to know that this kind of work is going into the community, making a difference in dogs' lives.
The Dog Scouts of America, Troop 119, serves the North Texas area. If you want to find out more, visit their website, dsatroop119.org. And
Bandit says we're going to take another break, but then we come back and you will meet Logan, a friend of Bandit's.
Who is
so
our
stay
final
with us.
contestant on the show today. So yeah, stay with us. We'll be right back. Our third and final contestant of the day is Logan. It was love at first sight for Logan and his new adopted family. Logan, originally named Sam, disappeared from his first foster home, and a huge search to find him began.
Now I got to ask Suzanne Burke, who's here because she's the foster home for him, who is more than a foster now, but why Sam to Logan? Just
Sam to Logan, well, that's an interesting story, but he was named Sam after he was retired from racing, and Sam went into he was actually adopted by a family, and he evidently got out of this home and was found wandering on a country road, and he was picked up and returned back to Galt, amazingly. Because the person who picked him up knew one of the people within Galt. And he returned back to his foster home. A week later, he escaped out of a gate. So he was a little escape artist, I believe. And he ended up out in the city of Dallas for about 5 weeks. And we had an all-out search for him. So the search went on, and through this search, it became a pretty deeply spiritual experience for me, because I was so involved with him, and we had elicited animal communicators across several states, and they were telling us, ways to communicate with him, and we began doing this. We'd never done this before, and they were telling us crazy things to go and meditate in fields. It was kind of a crazy experience, and but we did what was suggested, and he actually, on the eve that he was found, we had set up a trap out near White Rock Lake, and it was in the woods, and we would go and replenish this trap every morning and every evening. And we would catch things like raccoons and things like that. But on the eve of when he was found, we went out to replenish the trap, and a volunteer and I were sitting on a bench looking at White Rock Lake, the sunset and everything, and these clouds started to go over, and we both saw an image, and I thought, well, this is pretty crazy, and I checked with my volunteer buddy, and And she said, I said, do you see what I see? She goes, I see what you see. And she said, okay, what do you see? And I said, I see a greyhound's head, you know, with ears, and you can, it's very distinct with the long snout. And she goes, I see the same thing. And we both looked at each other and we said, what do you think that means? And we said, well, either he's crossed over to the other side or he'll be found soon. So noon the next day, I was driving around, actually saying prayers, you know, for Logan, and I got a call from the volunteer I was with, and she was screaming in the phone, we found Sam, we found Sam. And so we drove to the vet where he was being delivered to be checked out and everything. And that's the story. It was just, the way that he was found was just very unusual in that he was on a ranch. He had been picked up 4 days after he had gotten out in the city of Dallas. And he was on a ranch all that time.
So you just decided to change his name to Logan?
I did. I picked out Logan. I wanted him to have an Irish name. And so I picked out Logan. I tried several, and he wagged his tail to Logan, and I went and I looked up what Logan meant, and it means meadow. And I thought, well, that's really strange because that's where we had to go to do that meditation.
Right. We were.
Yeah.
So, a little backward introduction to our guests. You now know Suzanne Burke, who took him home that night, and who adopted him instantly.
I did.
And our other guest is John McQuaid from GALT, the Greyhound Animal League of Texas. And they're here today with the rest of the story.
Yeah, and actually you're the founder of GALT. Is that correct, John?
Yes, I am.
How long ago did you do that?
11 years ago. My wife and I started it over drinks at the Stoneleigh P.
Oh, nice.
The joke is or at least I sobered up, and the next day was still a great idea, and I filed the paperwork.
So were you sitting at the Stoneleigh P watching greyhound racing?
No, I was not.
How did it come to you?
I met a greyhound. Years after I saw greyhounds being destroyed at a track in Mexico, Juarez, Mexico. This was in the early 70s, and they were being put down with baseball bats and lead pipes because they were no longer competitive. I did not do that was a frightening experience for me, a haunting experience, because they were piled up 6 feet, these carcasses of these wonderful dogs. But I sublimated that, and then I met a greyhound 20 or so years later, and then we liked the dog, and we decided to get one. After searching the Dallas area, we finally found our first greyhound in 1996, and we've had 16 greyhounds in our home since that period of time. We normally, because they're a wonderful companion animal, we've lost several because of old age. GALT's mission is to assist all greyhounds, which has been expanded into all sight hounds now, including mixes. Primarily first from the racetrack, those who train for the industry, and we still get a large number of dogs from the racing industry, but we're getting an equal number from strays, animal shelters, and we get a lot of the medically needy dogs. We're one of the first choices if you want a greyhound, because of our health protocols are very rigorous. You always get a healthy dog from us.
So, which is so important in a good organization. And just to remind everybody out there, Logan is representing the Greyhound Adoption League of Texas. So go to greyhoundadoptiontx.org for more information on how you can help. So,
who's today's best tale?
Hang in there, you'll find out.
Bandit, start thinking. And now it's time to reveal today's winners. We've talked a lot about it. We've checked with the Oracle, who's busy doing other things right now. And we've decided the story that moved us most. But it's not one story, it's all of the stories that moved us. And the choice is very hard. So our third prize, which goes with $250, goes to Galt. And it goes to Galt for a number of reasons. Galt does so much for greyhounds in this state, and it's so necessary. And also I wanted to mention Logan's Secret. Logan's Secret is a book that has been written by Suzanne. It's a book that you can purchase, and a large portion of it goes directly to Galt. We also would like to invite Galt back to be on one of our For the Love of Dogs TV show and talk about your work. So thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here. Our second prize, $500.
Yes.
Goes to
Beltray.
To Beltray.
Here,
And-
Beltray, here's this cookie. Here, this
doesn't
is
want a
like a
cookie, he
bandit
wants a
flavored
Bandit.
cookie. There you go.
And to have a dog recover when it's so far gone that you're ready to pick it up and say goodbye, it's an amazing thing to bring a dog back and to train it to, Bandit didn't have use of his hind legs when he was born, so we've been through some similar things.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And just the fact, I mean, he was so lucky to begin with that he was able to make it from the time that he was in the shelter until you could get him. So he's a beautiful dog, and you've done an amazing job.
Thank you.
So yes, congratulations.
And our first prize, which we would have had a cookie for, but we figured sharing dog cookies between a fire chief and someone who runs an amazing organization would not be fair, goes to the invention that saves tremendous amounts of dogs and cats, and the close coordination of a volunteer organization, a nonprofit, with the fire departments and police departments that use these fabulous new masks to save dogs and cats' lives.
So with our first place prize comes a $1,000 check that will go to your organization that hopefully will
Get more
help
masks
make a
out.
lot more masks for you to distribute.
Almost how many?
Almost 20.
That's incredible.
Wow.
That's great. Well, thanks to our contestants for being here today. And join us next week for 3 new animal rescue stories.
And find out more about America's Best Tales and For the Love of Dogs at AmericanDogRescue.org.
That's right. And as always, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll see you next week.
And we'll see you next week.